Hello, I'm Andrew Cunningham, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am a student at Luther Rice College and Seminary. In my previous two videos, we discussed ideas from J.P. Moreland's Love God with All Your Might. The first video covered ways in which anti-intellectualism has impacted the church, and in the second, we discussed the empty self and some ways to combat it in the local church. Moreland's thesis throughout this book is that the modern church is full of empty selves and lacking in intellectuals, thus resulting in an ineffective ministry. Many, upon reading, would be offended by this viewpoint because it speaks directly to you and me. But upon further reflection, one can see many of the traits and attitudes in one's own life. When faced with an offending assumption of one's own actions, there should always be pause and reflection to establish if the assumptions are true or false. This is not an easy task. In reflection on Moreland's state of the church, I agree with his assertions, but in my opinion, the church is in a much worse state than Moreland presents. Today, I would like to cover Chapter 10, titled Recapturing the Intellectual Life in the Church. In this chapter, Moreland suggests some ways to accomplish this goal. Before beginning, let me establish that I agree with all of Moreland's ideas, but I believe in order to achieve these goals, a few steps should be added to prepare the church before fully implementing Moreland's suggestions. One of Moreland's suggestions is geared towards Sunday school programs. Many Sunday school programs require very little effort to attend and are geared more towards social relationships and not intellectual goals. This is spot on in my opinion. This needs to change and become more of a training ground. But here's where some preparation is required. Before implementation, leaders capable of teaching at this level must first be educated and trained. In the current state of most churches, the people able or willing to fill this role simply do not exist. With that said, another focus should be on relationships. Although relationships in the church are an important factor in our walks with Christ, the focus of these relationships should be geared towards discipleship and growth, not just friendship. A driving factor in many people's lives are the close friends that they associate with. If those with great influence on us do not encourage growth both intellectually and in our walks with Christ, often those areas stagnate. If you have a close relationship that does not better you or the other party, perhaps you should consider whether or not to continue that relationship. Moreland's first suggestion is no more senior pastors. Instead, he supposes there should be a plurality of elders who focus on the discipleship and training of others. This is something the current church is wholly unprepared for. Many congregations would fight the very idea itself simply on the grounds of it being different than what they have always done. Some pastors would fight the idea of not wanting to lose their control of the church. Then some churches just do not have the means to accomplish this because of staffing or financial issues. The idea of a group leading and teaching seems foreign to most churchgoers of today, but was a model that New Testament churches followed. A few years ago, I was asked to be the Vacation Bible School director. Being unprepared completely for this task, I asked several people who had done this job before me to help. While we prepared, I began to question some of the ways that things were done. When I asked why they were done that way, the answer was almost always a variation of "that's how we always do it." To which my response was, "So? Just because it is done that way in the past does not mean it has to stay that way." That year's Vacation Bible School went very well, and I had many of the volunteers tell me that it was a lot less stressful for them. The only change I really implemented was when a group leader or teacher would come to me and ask how I wanted them to do a certain task. I would explain to them that they had been entrusted with that area and to do it however they wanted to. And if they needed me to help them, I could, but I trusted their judgment. Separating and sharing the responsibility allowed all the leaders to focus on specific aspects of the curriculum, resulting in being able to fully accomplish a larger task by dividing up the load. My opinion is that the church of today needs to examine its current state and the ideas or habits that led to its diminishment. The way we have always done it is the way we have always done it mentality has allowed habits that are contradictory to growth and continue unchanged. Thank you for your time, and God bless.